Oh, what's that? Apparently that's the smell of sulfur that we can all smell, because that's what the late President of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, smelt at the United Nations the day after George W. Bush, the worst president in the history of the United States of America. That's what happened and what he smelt after he spoke at the United Nations. 15 years ago today, folks, the late President of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, ripped George W. Bush a new asshole in front of the entire world. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Zach, the Celtics guy here, and I am here and back with another video, and here to celebrate 15 years today. 15 years ago today, the former president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, tore George W. Bush's ass a new one at the United Nations over him being a war criminal and an imperialist and everything else. And we celebrate 15 years since this speech was given. 20 September 2006 was when Chavez tore Bush's ass a new one. Now, it is clear that these two did not get along. That's pretty clear, considering that Bush and his criminal regime were behind the coup, were behind multiple coups d'etats in South America, including Venezuela in 2002. But yes, folks, 15 years ago today, the speech that is like fine wine and never gets old was given today. Shall we reminisce?
I think that the first people who should read this book are our brothers and sisters in the United States, because their threat is in their own house. The devil is right at home. The devil himself is right in the house. And the devil came here yesterday. Yesterday, the devil came here. Right here. Right here. And it smells of sulfur still today. This table that I am now standing in front of.
Oh, hello, sweetie. You want to join in this celebration?
Of what?
Oh, just the little anniversary that we have here.
Of what, though?
Of your little, you apparently want to make a cameo appearance, so yeah, 15 years ago today, the speech that's like fine wine was given. And today on Zach the Celtics guy's channel, there you have it.
Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, from this rostrum, the President of the United States, the gentleman to whom I refer as the devil, came here, talking as if he owned the world. Truly, as the owner of the world. I think we could call a psychiatrist to analyze yesterday's statement made by the President of the United States.
And there you have it, folks. Well, basically that was part of it, but it was a 26-minute speech, and regardless, it was great. It was truthful. It was basically what it was.
He was saying that 9/11 was an inside job and that George W. Bush caused it. George W. Bush Jr., the president from 2000 to 2008. It was caused by him. It was an inside job.
That's what he said?
Yep.
How do you know he said that?
I know things.
Oh, you know things, huh? You certainly do, huh?
Yep.
I'm gonna come here and help, yeah, this is basically a little a little Zach the Celtics guy, Stephen Trowbridge crossover as I celebrate this speech, which was like fine wine. But yeah, so if you kind of throw in a little humor with that. So yeah. There you have it, folks. There you have it. So yeah, that was something. I'll definitely link it in the I will definitely link this in the description, and I definitely encourage you all to watch it. It's definitely a speech worth watching. Definitely worth listening to. I can tell you that. And basically a little summary that Mr. Chavez basically was the Bush administration's biggest thorn in their ass in South America. It's basically what it came down to. It came down to the fact that this guy emerged. He emerged as a populist leader, and he was a leader that the U.S. didn't like. Now, why did we not like him when he came into power? Why? Simple. He wasn't a U.S. puppet. He was a more left-leaning leader. We didn't like that. And we also didn't like the fact that he was trying to go against the U.S.'s imperialist attempts to isolate Cuba in the region. And Hugo Chavez emerged as an ally of Cuba. The Bush administration in particular got all triggered by that, and then led a coup against him in 2002. He was ousted for 2 days and then returned to power 2 days later and said, "Ha, I'm back, motherfuckers." So that's basically what it came down to. And then there's been basically a war of words between Chavez and Bush throughout the years. It basically was just ridiculous. And the hypocrisy that followed as a result of this. What was the reaction of the world when Mr. Chavez made this speech? The world applauded, including the members of the United Nations applauded. Many Americans like myself also applauded this, and this came at the time that Bush's approval ratings were basically underwater, and basically were at rock bottom at the time that this was given on 20 September 2006. And basically that. And guess what the reaction was from our elected officials? They bitched and they moaned and they complained. Neocons and neoliberals complained, accusing Hugo Chavez of disrespect, accusing him of he's disrespected America, he attacked Americans, and just a bunch of stupid things. Chavez is a thug, and he's a this and he's a that. It's like, okay, aren't we a nation where our country's constitution, the First Amendment, is freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of opinion, and all that? Okay. Well, when he gave the speech at the United Nations, that was an example of freedom of speech on his part. That was an example of freedom of speech of the majority of Americans at the time who felt the same way and still do to this day. So why was it that these leaders got so triggered? You know why? Because they knew that Bush was done. Bush destroyed all of his credibility, destroyed our reputation abroad, destroyed our alliances with other countries, including France and Germany at the time, and all that, including Latin America. Okay? We were the laughing stock of the world. Hugo Chavez and Diego Maradona in Argentina, the Argentine soccer player, a leftist soccer player, one of the best soccer players, soccer/football players in the world. And he led a rally against Bush at the Summit of Americas in 2005. Okay, and so basically these people were all rallying against Bush at the time. It's just like, and Mr. Chavez went on in the speech saying, the rest of us are standing up, and that's right, they did stand up against it. And then he also went on to say, you're going to spend the rest of your days as a nightmare. Yeah, you will, because no matter where you go, you're hated by the global population. Every single time Bush made a trip abroad, he got protested. He literally got protested in allied countries and in neutral countries, such as Argentina, for example, when anti-war protests and everything else. So, yeah, Bush is the worst president in the history of this country. W himself was the worst. Okay? And like we can all say that Trump was shitty and all that. Here's the thing, though. Trump had all sorts of faults. I've said it on this channel multiple times. A lot of you people know my position on this. But yeah, there was someone that was worse than Trump. This guy, George W. himself, one of the world's worst war criminals, America's biggest war criminal. Yes, he was worse than Trump. He was. I mean, as far as foreign policy goes, he was just basically, the only difference between the two was one had manners, and the other one didn't. So that's pretty much what it all came down to. So yes, and then let's also, another thing. Furthermore, over a year after the speech was given, there was an incident at this other summit in 2007, late 2007, between Spanish and Portuguese leaders and the leaders of Brazil and other leaders, including Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro, just Evo Morales, different leaders from South America, and Portugal, Spain, and so on and so forth. So what happened was Hugo Chavez was trying to condemn Spain's former leader at the time to the Spanish king who was president, their new prime minister. And of course, Mr. Chavez was out of line because he was trying to interrupt the speaker and all that. And then the Spanish king leaned over and he said in Spanish, "Why don't you shut up?" See, that's the hypocrisy about it, because how did they respond? How did Mr. Chavez's critics respond to that? They glowed with approval. They were like, "Oh, that was great. Good for him and all that. Good for the Spanish king telling him to shut up and all that." Before anyone tries to say anything about that, here's my position on both Mr. Chavez's attack on Bush and the Spanish king's attack on Chavez. I think I've reiterated this on this channel a couple times before, but I want to make it abundantly clear. Hugo Chavez was right to call Bush the devil, because Bush is the devil. He's a fucking scumbag. He's a murderer. He's a piece of shit. He was the worst president that this country ever had, and he will remain as such for all eternity. So that's the double-edged sword. The next double-edged sword. The Spanish king was right to tell Chavez to shut up, because I'm sorry, my fellow lefties, I'm sorry, but Chavez was out of line. I know I don't have any supporters that at least as far as I know, but that's a whole nother ballgame. So, yes, it is wrong to interrupt another speaker, especially when you are a head of state of another country. So, yes, his behavior was out of line. So, you see the Republicans glowing with approval, the Democrats glowing with approval over this because they didn't like Mr. Chavez. So when Mr. Chavez got told to shut up, oh, that was great. But when Chavez went to criticize Bush, oh no, that was a big problem. That was disrespectful and all that. And then, of course, what did people on the far left do with regards to that? They basically said Chavez was right and all that stuff. So you see, you got one side that's blinded with their own biases one way or the other, and then you got the other side that's blind one way or the other. How am I on this issue? Here I am celebrating this speech. I'm not really celebrating, but I'm basically saying it's the 15th year anniversary of this speech. Just like November 11th of 2007 will be the 14th year, yes, 2007, 2021. 14th anniversary that Chavez got told to shut up at that South American summit. I forget the name of it. So, yes, you can say that this leader's right to say this about this other person. You can say that. It's called being unbiased. Okay? That's not to say that, I'm not saying that Chavez was a good leader because in a lot of ways, he kind of wasn't many things. And then the whole thing with Nicolas Maduro and all that, but that's the whole thing. See, it's our own actions in South America that has led to leftist leaders and borderline authoritarian leaders to emerge. Because the U.S. has propped up right-wing dictators across South America and the Caribbean for decades. And then this leads to a breeding ground for more like leftist authoritarians. And by the way, I don't support leftist authoritarians. I don't support authoritarianism because I obviously don't support right-wing authoritarianism. You see my videos on the fascist leader running Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro. You all know my position on him at this point. You saw my videos on Sebastian Pinera and all the fucking neocons that run South America, that run many South American nations. So you see that, for example. So I don't support that. And then I've even made videos where where parts of it I've said things like Nicolas Maduro's authoritarian, the new president who took over after Hugo Chavez died in 2013. Yeah, there are a lot of things that happened with Venezuela. Yeah, it's fucked up. But it all comes down to imperialism. Because these leaders are not Team USA. If they're not Team USA, then they're bad. But because Bolsonaro is this pro-American right-wing fucking corrupt asshole, we love him. The guy who says gays shouldn't be allowed to marry, gays shouldn't be allowed to have kids, the Rick Santorum of Brazil. Oh, we love that guy, right? Sebastian Pinera, the Newt Gingrich of Chile. Oh, we love that guy, no problem. Oh, no problem with that. But Chavez, said something bad about Bush. Oh, that's disrespectful, all this and that. You got hypocrisy on one side, and then you got hypocrisy on the other side. One side will praise Chavez no matter what, which I disagree with. But then you got the one side that's going to praise Bush and our leaders no matter what. I'm against nationalism regardless. I don't like nationalism. I don't like blind patriotism, regardless of how it's done. Just like all the other type of shit. So that's to clarify my position on it. I don't like, for example, fucking Russian nationalism. This blind praising of Vladimir Putin? No. Or just even there's things like African nationalism, or Polish nationalism, or fucking whatever. Nationalism is disgusting. It's basically gloating about how we're the greatest no matter what. That's basically what it is. And I don't support it, regardless of what side of the icon it's done or where it's done or whatever. Because I don't. There's a difference between putting your country first, and then there's another thing of, our country's great, our side is great no matter what. So that's basically what it is. So yes, this speech was great. And like Chavez or not, but we can all agree that Bush was a piece of shit and still is and forever will be. But today he's being glorified by the neoliberals and everyone else because Trump bad. Yeah, there were a lot of things about Trump. Yeah, there were a lot of things I can't stand that. I can't stand that fucking orange Oompa Loompa. I honestly can't. But I can't. So there's all sorts of different things that we can say about Trump, but also not praising Bush. You people are just as bad. You people are just as bad. You people would be there praising what Chavez said. We can praise Chavez for what he said here. We don't have to praise him as a leader or whatever. Even the shittiest leaders around have said things about Bush. That doesn't make him good. No, that doesn't make Chavez automatically good because he criticized Bush. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is, it was 15 years ago today that this speech was given. It was a great speech and I liked it and I agreed with it, and I'm leaving it at that. And the rest of it is neutral, taking it with a grain of salt, because that's what it is, and that's what I do. That's what I do when it comes to that. Just like when it came to the Spanish king and the blah, blah, fucking blah between those two, Spain and Venezuela at the time. So yeah, I took that with a grain of salt as well, but I also said, oh, look at that, the Spanish king. I agree with what he said, because nobody should be interrupting another human being, especially at a political summit. It's unprofessional. So Chavez was out of line. And of course, Bush was out of line. Bush was out of line in every way. Keep the fucking bastard out of politics. Keep all the Bushes out of power. And keep the Cheneys out of power. Keep any person who was in the Bush administration out of politics and their families for the rest of fucking eternity. Keep them all out of politics for the rest of eternity. Every single one of them. Every single one of them, including Pence, Trump, Pence, all of them. Just all these fucking people. Kick them all out of fucking politics. All these imperialists, just all of them. Just get rid of all of them. We need leadership because in this country we are lacking it. And yes, that would include neoliberals too, like the status quos, like Joe Biden, for example. So anyway, so this video was kind of, it was a mini Steve Trowbridge crossover. It was a crossover, and yes, he made a cameo appearance. I will credit him in this video too. And so yeah, today marks 15 years ago that this speech was given, and I agree with it. It was good, and to this day, it is truth, and it is the entire truth, and I will continue to say so every 20 September and beyond for the rest of my life. I will say that. I will say it, and if that makes me unpatriotic and whatever, then fuck off, because I ain't no unpatriotic. Okay? You can love your country, but you can call out your politicians every fucking day. That's what I do. Nothing wrong with that, because it's true. Because if you really want change for your country, you need to acknowledge the issues that are there, and what can we do to prove what we can do to solve it. So yes, that pretty much wraps it up for this evening. But yes, today was the day that it was given, 15 years ago today. It was a great speech. It's like fine wine. It was then when it was originally given, and it is today, and it will remain that way. It will remain that way for the rest of eternity. Fuck Bush, fuck the neocons, and fuck every one of his cabinet, every single one of those people. Fuck the Bushes, fuck the neocons, fuck every single one of these imperialists. Fuck all of them. You can all kiss my ass, every single one of you. Anyway, that about wraps it up for today. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this little Steve-Zach production, celebrating this 15-year anniversary of this fine wine speech. I'll be back with more videos and a whole bunch of other stuff in the works. Stay tuned to find out more videos on the way. This was just like a crossover between him and I, celebrating this speech, and then also clarifying my positions on regional issues in Latin America, the Caribbean, South America, and other things. Anyway, peace, have a nice day or night. This is Zach the Celtics guy saying thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more videos and more content soon, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now, peace out, have a good day.